Hey, what is going on, everybody? Thank you all for watching my video today. NFL free agency continues to roll on into its second day, and in day two, there's already been even more stories and interesting signings worth covering. So I'm just gonna, my takes on a couple of them, my reactions here in today's video. So starting off with the first thing that caught my eye on day two was Randy Gregory spurning the Dallas Cowboys and signing with the Denver Broncos instead. Initial reports came out that he was going to re-sign with the Cowboys on a 5-year, $70 million deal after his big breakout season last year. But instead, he only about 10 minutes later. It's kind of weird how quick it went, but apparently he was going to decide to sign that same similar contract with the Denver Broncos instead. Apparently, it was because of some language in the contract that he and his agent apparently did not approve of, and it has led to his departure from the Cowboys. The Cowboys aren't all lost in the pass rushing department. They did just re-sign DeMarcus Lawrence to a 3-year, $30 million deal. That's a lot cheaper than he was in the previous seasons. And rumors also tie them to Von Miller, which would be a not too bad of a not too bad of a not too bad of a hold on. Not too bad of a what? Not too bad of a replacement for Gregory, but Gregory is certainly the younger player, and as long as he stays on the field like he was last year, he's probably going to have a very successful career in Denver. This is a huge sign for the Broncos. Obviously, they already acquired Russell Wilson a few days ago last week, and now they're adding a big piece to their defense. Now, Gregory, he was injuries and suspensions not knocked his career into a rough spot for a long time, and it looked like a lot of people were saying the Cowboys need to move on from Gregory. He's had enough chances, but Jerry Jones and the Cowboys kept insisting that he was a talented player that the Cowboys needed, and finally, over the past season and a half to 2 seasons, Gregory got his act together and stayed on the field and was a real important part of that Cowboys defense last year that really improved from its performance in 2020. It helped the Cowboys make the playoffs. Under new defensive coordinator Dan Quinn, Gregory really thrived, but now he's leaving the team that kept giving him all those extra chances. So something clearly he didn't like. I guess it was something that allowed Cowboys to have more control than Gregory did. Maybe it seems like to Gregory that the Denver Bronco deal would be a lot better for him. So that's likely why he chose to sign with the Broncos. Now, taking a look at another team who's been very vigilant on day two is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Where they got news of Tom Brady returning to the team. They re-signed Ryan Jensen as the center a couple days ago. I touched on that in my video about Brady's comeback, but it did seem like the Buccaneers were going to lose at least something. Antonio Brown, he's off in doing God knows what with Kanye West. They lost two starting guards. Ali Marpet retired. Alex Kappa signed a 4-year deal with the Bengals. So it seemed like the Buccaneers were losing talent. Leonard Fournette remains a free agent as well. They may be gone next season additionally. But the Buccaneers have bounced back considerably on the second day of free agency. First thing they did, they filled in for one of those guard spots. They traded a 5th-rounder for a former All-Pro caliber guard in Shaq Mason from the Patriots, Brady's former team. He has plenty of chemistry and history playing with Shaq Mason. Not really entirely sure why Bill Belichick and the Patriots decided to trade Mason for such low compensation. Maybe it was because of his salary, but I'm sure they could have gotten more for a guy who's played at a Pro Bowl caliber level for quite some time with the Patriots. But that's a huge get for the Buccaneers. They also re-signed Carlton Davis to a new 3-year deal. I believe it was $45 million. At least that's the max value. And Carlton Davis, I've had some criticism towards him. Obviously, he allowed Tyreek Hill that ridiculous 200-yard first half 2 seasons ago. And overall, Carlton Davis, he's still a solid player, though, and the Buccaneers defense really needs him to continue to produce at the level they have. The secondary struggled last year, but Davis, I would say, was probably one of the few bright spots in the Buccaneers secondary throughout the entire season amid all the injuries and lackluster play. And one other signing that I was a huge fan of, because Tom Brady loves his slot receivers, his possession receivers, Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola, of course Wes Welker, and even kind of Antonio Brown was sort of filling this role for the team. but I like this value a lot more for Tampa. They bring in Russell Gage, the former Falcons receiver, one of the more underrated wide receivers in the NFL. Uh, and I'm not saying he can't stretch the field. I'm sure there are. I don't think he's a slow receiver per se. I think he can get down the field, but with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin here in town as well, I think he's more of a possession receiver in this situation for the Buccaneers. And I'm really a fan of this signing. I think he's, especially last season, put a lot of work in to help the Falcons' receiving room after Calvin Ridley was away from the team. It was pretty much him and running back receiver hybrid Cordarrelle Patterson doing all the work in the Falcons' receiving room last year. And going to work with Tom Brady is going to be a big boom for his career. I think a lot more people are going to know who Russell Gage is at the end of next season. And this 3-year deal, even if Brady retires again, the Buccaneers locked up a really solid receiver long term to go with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So I'm a big fan of this move for Tampa. I think, once again, I don't know how Tom Brady continues to do this. Tom Brady teams continue to just make these ridiculously good moves every offseason, but here we are once again. The Buccaneers are pretty much, they're not running it back like last year. They have some new faces, but those new faces should produce at a high level. So that's going to be a big get for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And finally, just one more story I wanted to touch on briefly. The New York Jets, I think, have done a really solid job over the course of free agency. They opened the free agency yesterday, signing Laken Tomlinson from the 49ers. I touched on that in my previous video. That's a big get for the offensive line. They followed up with 2 other solid signings. CJ Uzoma, the Bengals tight end, he figures to be the top tight end in New York. They haven't really had an impact tight end since Chris Herndon's rookie year, and he fell off the face of the earth right after that. I think Uzoma, I don't know if he's an impact, game-changing top-tier tight end, but I think he's a level below that. I think he really proved, especially in the second half of last season and in the playoffs, that he can be a tight end. He can be more than just a blocking tight end, which he mostly was the first few years of his career. I think he can be a real threat in the red zone for the Jets next year, and I think Zach Wilson will be happy to have him. They also signed former Buccaneers safety Jordan Whitehead, who I believe he's one of the many Buccaneers defensive backs who's dealt with a few injuries last year, but 2 seasons ago during the Super Bowl year, he really started to make an impact, and I think he's going to be a huge help for the Jets secondary. The Jets might lose Marcus May to free agency. It actually seems like they will. He's still in the open market, but he did get hurt last season. So this is a solid replacement, I think, for the Jets, and they might still draft a safety as well. Kyle Hamilton rumors at that 4th pick have been going around for quite some time, although if one of those defensive ends slips to them, Thibodeau or Hutchinson, they'll probably go with one of them. But I've loved what Joe Douglas has done since he took over the Jets, just in general. But once again, I think he's having a really solid offseason. And they re-signed Braxton Barrios as well. I think Braxton Barrios has potential as a possession receiver. In addition to his phenomenal play as a kick returner, I think this coming season will be Braxton Berrios' best yet, as the second half of the year he really started to become a part of that Jets offense. So overall, there's still plenty of great free agents out there, but those are just a few important signings that happened on day 2. I just want to highlight a few more names that are still out there. Allen Robinson, I think he could be a great value signing for someone because I'm unconvinced he's done as an impact guy. I think he's one of the best free agents out there right now. I think many teams, I was talking about Tampa maybe signing him. They went with Gage, which actually I think I like more now that I think about it. But Robinson could certainly surprise everybody and bounce back on a short-term deal, prove-it deal, and he could return to his top-tier form. That would be the hope. Leonard Fournette, easily the best running back available. He had the best year of his career, in my opinion, last season. He could help a running back-needy team. Calais Campbell, the veteran, he's not the elite pressure artist that he once was, but he's still a very solid player. Rasul Douglas, who broke out with the Packers last year as a real ball-hawking corner, he's out there. Rumors say the Packers are negotiating with him. I don't see how that's possible. We have already spent so much cap space. We still need to sign Devontae Adams. So maybe he's going to leave the Packers. That's what I would expect. Teron Armstead, he had some injuries last year, but he's still a top former Pro Bowl tackle. He's a very solid tackle. He could help a lot of teams. Bobby Wagner, of course, released by the Seahawks, probably I would say the best available free agent right now. He's going to be a major get for whatever team signs him. And just going down the list, Von Miller, Chandler Jones, 2 former absolute studs as pass rushers. Rob Gronkowski, he'll probably resign with the Buccaneers, but he's out there. Zach Ertz, who had a nice bounce-back season with the Cardinals. Jaron Reed, former Pro Bowl defensive tackle with the Seahawks, had a letdown of a year with the Chiefs, but I still think, I don't know if he's done necessarily. Rashad Penny, He finally started to get healthy. He's another good running back on the market right now. Zadarius Smith, we'll see if he can bounce back from his injury. Stephon Gilmore, Chris Harris Jr., two solid corners. Jadeveon Clowney had a bounce back year, 9 sacks last year. Cordarrelle Patterson. The point is, there's more for where that came from. There's a plenty of good free agents left on the market. So we'll have to see what happens in these coming days. I'm excited to see what happens. So it should be and draft season's coming up as well. This is going to be a roller coaster of an NFL offseason. So thank you guys for watching my video today. I'm excited to see what happens going forward. So subscribe to the channel to keep up with my reaction to all the big news that comes out. So thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.